Alright friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. This YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related, but especially advanced field command and battlefield tactics. And in this episode, we are going to continue with our siege guide here. In particular, this episode, we are going to cover the siege defense of cities. Now, in this episode, we're going to show you effectively how not to fight a battle siege. In other words, what happens when you leave the AI in charge of large portions of a city defense, and then we will fight the identical battle using what I consider optimal tactics for a siege defense. These tactics are not perfect. I'm sure you'll be able to add some of our tactics and you'll probably discard some of the others. But overall, at the end of this episode, you will be ready to put your helmet on and dominate at Epic Siege. Alright, so let's jump right into it. As you can see here, there's a bunch of red mushrooms popping up all over outside here. Amitatis is undergoing siege already. They have a siege ram and a siege tower. There's a very small defense force. And look at this. There's another massive army of Western Empire coming down here, traveling to Amitatis to besiege, right? So there's two huge forces here, or really a bunch of smaller armies and a huge force joining. Now, we do have a pretty solid army, but it's a mix, right? This is not an overpowering army. You can see there's quite a few low-level troops. Now, given the size of the attacker here, it looks like it's going to be over 4,000. We will recruit all these prisoners, and now we will wait the onset. Now, we're going to break in to help the defenders here, right? Because we're starting outside the citadel. And notice we could attack them on the outside here, but you're not going to win that. 400 against 2,500 is not a thing. So we're going to break in. It costs us 50 true troops. Now, once you're inside it, I want you to see this. The enemy is alert. You cannot ambush right now. I will discuss ambushes later in this episode. Now, we can sally out. Of course, that would be suicide. And we could break out, which means we're trying to leave. And we're not going to do any of those. I just want you to be aware of these options. Of course, you can request a parley, but we don't need a parley here. We're just going to tell our enemy to come get some and await the storm. And see if this other army engages. Sometimes the enemy will attack before all their troops arrive, right? And this is just a situation where, okay, they have all arrived, 4,700, and now we await their onset. Now, they may not attack for a while, right? Sometimes they'll try to starve you out. But at some point or other, usually with this kind of odds, it's almost 6-to-1 outnumbering us. And here we go. The enemy has attacked. They have begun their assault. And so we're going to actually watch the battle here, right? We're going to use normal player damage this whole series. And then we're going to watch it using the RTS camera. That means it's controlling my character of Zuvan and also controlling the rest of the army. Now, I do want to make sure that things are equal here, so I'm actually going to set up their army groups the same way that I will do in the next battle. I'm going to actually reload this save game and fight it all over again. We're going to essentially set them up in the same divisions that I like to set them up, and I'll explain this in both portions of this, why I do this. Right? You have 3 different infantry blocks, and then I like to have 4 archer blocks, the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, all archers. And the exception being the 4th, I like to have 1 hybrid archer infantry division, especially for this map, and I'll show you why in a second. Now, we want to assign captains here with good banners to the divisions, right? You get decreased taken melee attack damage. That's perfect for like the 1st division, which you're hoping is seeing a lot of combat at the gate, right? This guy's got a bunch of great perks and a really good banner. Now we'll put Zuvan here with this badass list of perks. This is my main character, and a banner that decreases his melee attack damage in that 2nd division. And most of these I'm just assigning kind of quickly here, making sure that the AI here, as it tries to defend this citadel, has really good captains in place so that the ingredients for success are already here for the AI. That doesn't mean they're going to win. I don't actually know if they're going to be able to win or lose here, so it'll be interesting to sort of watch to see what they do. But against such an overwhelmingly huge force, I don't suspect victory is likely. Now, I've got this blimp mode here that I'm getting more adept at flying around the battlefield on, and as you can see, I told the sergeants, you're in charge, right? The AI is now doing their own thing with all these units. I might help them a little bit, but I'm going to try to stay hands-off here. And we observe some of the enemy behavior as well. They're bombarding our forces with enemy counter siege. We're firing our siege. See, these guys are getting positioned. Now, there's something I want to bring up right away. Look at how many archers are on the wall here that the AI is employing. employing. These guys are about to die. This is a failed strategy. If you don't micromanage, the AI will very happily put your archers on the wall, and you can see what's happening. This guy is sticking his head out the window, and there's fucking flaming bolts and arrows rapidly flying into his windpipe. Right? He's smoked. I can't believe he's not dead yet. And this is happening all throughout the city, right? The archers all over the walls are, you could actually see him scoring kills. Imperial Sergeant killed so-and-so. But look at these guys. This guy has no cover, and he's standing here trying to shoot. Now, this is an unfortunate part of Bannerlord. The units do not take cover well, and because of that, if you're outnumbered this badly... Oh, and by the way, they just destroyed the siege tower. Look at the enemies all scurrying away. And that's something I'll talk about a little bit more in the second episode. You always want to destroy a siege tower if you can. In fact, they're actually doing a pretty good job of defense so far. They're bombarding them with counter siege and firing arrows. But all of those archers on the wall are taking a beating, right? They're being shot by the enemy down here because we're so outnumbered here. Anytime I'm outnumbered like 3 or 4 to 1, I get my archers off the walls. I know that seems strange. I know that's not historically accurate. Look at these guys are getting smoked too. This guy's trying to man the catapult and his shit's on fire. I just don't think it's a good strategy for you to let the AI put archers on the walls. There's certain situations where it's okay, and actually interior walls it's fine, where the enemy's not shooting you from outside. But in this situation here, I just think these guys are fucked. Like, this guy actually has a good angle. You see, oh shit, Zuan this is the AI controlling my character riding around on a horse. What a dipshit. But for the most part, I highly advise against you running around with archers on the battlefield. Now, the enemy has a ram on the gate already. And these infantry, this is the AI responding to the threat, right? The AI runs around basically like a drunken firefighter, trying to handle emergencies as they pop up. And the reason I say a drunken firefighter, not because firefighters drink, you would hope they don't drink, but because the AI doesn't do a good job. Now look at what they're doing here. The enemy is putting guys on the ladder, of course, because their siege tower is destroyed. The enemy only has 2 accesses into our citadel at this stage, right? And this is vital. You want to eliminate a ram or eliminate a siege tower if you can. They're pounding on the gate there, and pretty soon they'll be pouring into the city. But the enemy, or the allied AI rather, is really defending these walls with archers and with infantry, and that leaves kind of a paltry amount of troops down here to defend the gate. In fact, I have no idea why they're just leaving archers here at the gate, and that infantry is just sitting back. I can see already that I'm going to have to babysit this AI. And this is a situation, if you just gave control to the AI, look at this shit. It's a fucking train wreck, right? The enemy's pouring through the gate. It looks like that Tokyo intersection with 10 million people crossing per day. I'm going to micromanage this division and actually shove them to the gate. Now what I'm going to do is form a square. This is the 3rd division. I'm sending him there, and I'm sending him into a square right into the gate. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm not actually that worried about them killing these troops. I want them to stem the tide of future troops coming through the gate. You have to dam the dike before you can clean up all the flooded water, right? Basically, once that gate is closed, then you could start to focus on killing the troops that got inside. Now, this is the 2nd Division of Infantry. It looks like, again, this drunken firefighter AI is responding slowly to the emergency. In fact, they've already got reinforcements, and that's because they had so many archers mowed down on the walls. They've got a mix, it looks like a mix of militia and archers and higher level infantry pouring in here. And these guys are running right into the fucking storm, right? These archers are literally running right at the enemy infantry, and they're getting butchered. Now, these guys have a decent position on the side. You want to be on the flanks, of course, of the enemy. But now it looks like they're trying to go up the ladders where the enemy's thick. So, again, I know I'm probably nitpicking here. I'm basically going to point out, though, why the AI is not so great in Siege. Sometimes it does a competent job. Sometimes it does a pretty good job. But here, this is pretty close to a dumpster fire. This is like the political system in the United States, right? It doesn't matter which candidate gets voted in. It's a bad result for the country. All right, so you see they've done a decent job of blocking up the gate. I think a lot of that, though, is because of my micromanagement. Me shoving a square in there, the enemy AI was then able to mop up the rest of the troops that were in the courtyard. Now, notice the archers here. It's a fucking graveyard. All of your elite archers that come out with your first flush of troops, they're all dead. They're just laying on the ground, staring at the stars, wondering why their fucking commander told them to get on the walls when they're outnumbered, 10 to 1, getting shot by hundreds of arrows. So there's another huge batch of reinforcements pouring in, right? It's a mix of troops, good-looking troops and infantry. It's not a good situation when you have this many reinforcements this early in a battle. Now, fortunately, the AI does a good job of staying in the city. It's not going outside. And you have to be careful with your own troops when you're micromanaging, and I'll mention that more when I take the reins over. Right now, I'm literally just sitting back in my chair and flying around with this, with my controllers here, watching the militia get fucking laid out. Again, the gate seems to be holding up. Let's see if I can peek in the windows here and see what's going on. The enemy seems a little bit bottled up because they're too stupid to use the outer ramps here. And our troops are kind of holding up in the gatehouse. It's kind of a maelstrom, not a great situation. The gate is holding up okay. It looks like they've got some... Oh, no, those aren't our archers. I thought those might be our archers. No. Because the allied forces have completely lost this left side of the citadel, the enemy's now pouring in with Khan's guards and archers and fucking Manavliatons, and these guys are heading straight for the gate, right? So our gate forces there are about to be impinged on another side as the enemy overruns this left side of the citadel and pours towards the gate. Now the enemy is attacking the outer or this inner courtyard on the square here, and the allied AI really does seem intent on putting all of its troops kind of right here in the middle at the gatehouse. Well, this just doesn't fucking work. They have no archer support that I can see whatsoever. Of course, a lot of their archers got killed trying to just get into position. In fact, I don't need to watch this, and neither do you. You can already see this is a failed keep siege, right? This is pretty bad. It's not extraordinarily bad. I've seen worse. Look, it's putting archers on the walls here. It's leaving its high level infantry and high level archers at the gate, and the AI here is putting the militia on the wall here, just getting shot to pieces. That guy got smoked. This guy, it looks like he's got just the right angle, and this guy, he's firing little shots out there. The death spam at the bottom, that's actually Zuvan. That's my character running around on a horse, mauling people under control of the AI. This guy, you can actually see him smoking guys, but none of them are dying, right? He's hitting them for 6, 4. I can't actually tell how much damage he's doing, but I assure you it's not very much. All right, the Allied forces continue to have archers in the gatehouse, which is worthless, right? They can't shoot. I see Battanian fiends attacking in melee. I guess that's not worthless, but you really want those guys shooting, right? In a keep siege, you're just not going to win unless your archers are causing major damage. So we'll speed this up another notch. Another batch of reinforcements comes in. It looks like it's mixed troops. This time, at least, it does look like they're sending their archers to the walls. But what have we already said about this? It doesn't matter. Some of these are elite troops. In fact, I see Battanian Fiend Champs mixed in here. These guys have no chance. In fact, let's watch them get smoked here, right? Look at how many archers the enemy has outside. This guy is smoked. And, you know, your proud, expensive Battanian Fiend Champs that you spent weeks leveling up gets completely ripped apart because you let the AI ram your Tesla into the wall. I almost need a bumper sticker. Don't let the AI ruin your castle's defense. So the allied or the enemy forces are storming all their archers up the wall. I think it's because they smell blood, but also what's going on here is probably a lot of those guys are out of ammo. So it's getting ugly. Now the allied forces, okay, they are at least trying to get infantry to blockade these ladders. You know, again, the drunken firefighter, they're responding sloppily to this call, right? They ran over a cat and hit somebody's mailbox, driving to somebody's house. The gate is holding but barely because the AI is putting so many guys and prioritizing so much to the defense of that wall that there's this ragtag band. Look at these guys, they're running right by the gate. The gate is totally under duress. And the AI runs up the stairs, I think ostensibly to help these guys here on the wall. I presume that's what they're doing. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. But this is the AI, right? If you're playing and you're just sergeant in this battle, at this stage, you know, you're getting heartburn, your blood pressure's going up because you're feeling like this siege is impossible to win. And when the AI fights like this, it is. It literally herded all of its troops into the gatehouse where they could be systematically rounded up. Zuvan gets killed. and now it's just a train of angry enemy forces blitzing through the city here, killing your troops one by one. I mean, it gives me heartburn watching this, watching my strong army just get completely ripped apart. Britannian Fiends trucked. All the archers, ran over as the enemy storms through your city, loots all your fucking buildings, takes all your fine artwork, probably rapes and pillages, all the horrific shit that happened in medieval warfare during city seizures. They would put most of the fucking defenders to the sword, and things here are as bad as they get, right? The enemy, now they're coming up the ladders and pinching them on the walls here. Okay, this siege is over, and what a disgrace, right? This is a really bad defense. I'd be surprised if they killed 1,000 troops, and I think the enemy had almost 5,000. All right, so we'll get a summary of this, and then I'll take back the reins. I'll save you guys from being rammed into the wall by your Tesla. Hopefully Elon Musk doesn't sue me with my little tiny YouTube channel for making fun of AI. Of course, I digress. If this was a Tesla AI, it'd probably be butchering us. But ultimately, you could see, if you had archers down here, this is where you want your archers. Look at all those defenders on the walls, right? Look at the line of sight we have. That's just a hint to the strategy that we're going to employ in the next battle. The gate is totally blown open. All of our defenders here, these proud, strong warriors of ours, where the battle is lost, and all of our men are slaughtered. Take a look at the stats, and look at this open space right here, by the way. This is where I want to have a lot of my archers and defenders. Look at this beautiful open spot. I can cover the gate easily, line of sight there. I can cover that wall, and I can cover the ladder down there. I mean, you just, this kind of a citadel, and by the way, not all cities are built equally, and I'll talk about that in a second, but this is a great city to defend. And look at this tragedy, 840 losses, and we barely killed that many. In fact, it's almost identical. The KDR here is basically 1-to-1, which is really bad. Defeat, it says in big capital letters. All right, so we'll redo this part. I've reloaded the magic of the save game, right? We're save scumming here, but it's for a good purpose here. We're basically going to show you in this second battle how to fucking hold on to a city, how to actually defend a city against a huge force. As I just showed you, Amitatis is one of the best. I would say it's a top 3 overall city, especially for the Imperials to defend, right? It has excellent line of sight. It has all the ingredients that I discussed beforehand, and it has what I call a secondary defense. I will show you that in this portion here. All right, just like the first battle, we're breaking in 826 defenders against almost 4,800, and of course normal player damage. We're not changing anything. We're on an even playing field, and now we're going to attack, which is basically me knocking the hands of the AI off the steering wheel and saying, give me that shit, you're fucking terrible. All right, I told you I'd also cover this again in the second episode. Again, we're going to divide our army here into 3 infantry divisions, a hybrid division in the 4th, and then archery divisions in the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Again, the 4th will be a mix of archers and infantry, and we're going to position them at the gate where the archers can shoot, and the infantry is also capable of attacking. Right, you can charge with that unit, you can charge with all of them, and you can even square. Now we're going to put good captains, of course, in charge of the divisions, just like the first battle. Gweth has, a range damage, extra range damage bonus. Some of these other companions, have some really good bonuses. Now note their siege tower is on the left side this time. The first time it was on the first siege, it was on the right side. We're still going to try to destroy it though. But look at this 4th division, right? There's a mix of archers in there and infantry. That's going to be very helpful near the gate. Now, 5th, 6th, and 7th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, like I said, all archers. And that's so you can get lots of different angles to shoot your weapons at the enemy. Again, here, look through some of these captains to assign them. Decreased taken. I actually prefer things like increased range damage and decreased taken melee attack damage. That's because we're not going to be getting shot. I'm not going to put units on the walls. We saw what happens. Of course, I've fought literally hundreds of sieges, so I know what happens if you put guys on the walls when you're outnumbered 6-1. We're just not going to do it. So Zuvan in the 3rd Division with this giant stack of perks. We're going to put most of our other captains in the 3rd Division once we've assigned these other divisions. And that's because I want to have sort of one powerhouse division, one elite reserve unit that like Napoleon would have, etc. Now over here they have ladders. Right, that's going to be a major threat because you can't destroy ladders. You can push them away, but I actually find it more effective just to let the enemy come up the ladders. They sort of slowly funnel themselves into a death chamber. All right, so 4th Division right here with good line of sight, right? You can play with these positionings before the battle. It's important that they can actually see the enemy. Now the 3rd Division will be over here on the right with at least 1 archer division. I think we'll do 2. The 5th and the 6th, and these guys can now shoot the guys coming up the ladders, right? So the 5th and the 6th, the 4th, I do like to keep units near each other. I'd have no problem with the 5th being right there. We'll move these guys out of the way, and let's get the 1st Division in here. Now we're going to configure this division so that it's spear and shield. And what that does is it saves my javelin throwers, or a lot of them. See how there's a bunch of javelin guys in there? We're going to assign this 2nd Division priority to javelins, and a lot of those javelin throwers come out of that 1st Division. That means the 1st Division is our shield, and the 2nd and 3rd Divisions are going to be our sword arm. Hopefully that makes sense. We're going to use the 1st for defense in a square at the gate, and then the 2nd skirmishers are going to be throwing javelins in on the side. Now over here, where they've got the siege tower, we're going to defend this in 2 ways. We can have the skirmishers right there, and we can also support them with archers. Now here's an important point. We're probably going to be able to destroy that siege tower, but I'm setting it up now as if the siege tower doesn't get destroyed. Basically, you hope for the best and prepare for the worst. I'm going to have a big, long archer line here. There's a bunch of Britannian fiend champs and shit in there, so that if that siege tower makes it, we can still defend that side. Then I can put the 8th Corps right here, and these guys help both sides, right? They're shooting guys at the gate. And they're also, of course, going to be helping that left side. As troops come down, those guys will shoot in both directions. And I think this is pretty good. The 3rd Corps is going to be over there. Now, the 3rd Corps is going to be mobile. I'm going to have them follow me at times. Notice I can't move my siege. Sometimes you can move it, sometimes you can't. But the priority for me is to get one of those catapults and destroy that siege tower. And I'll show you that process. Once you learn this, it's actually incredibly easy to do this. Now the 3rd Corps is there. They're just going to stay there for a bit. To go upstairs with the horse, you just kind of go side to side, and usually it works okay. I wanted to mention this part too, the fire catapults. I mentioned this in the first Epic Siege episode, but I want to mention it here in case people didn't see that. You need to have 150 siege, or I guess it's engineering skill for your main engineer to have fire catapults, right? I think we have 2 or 3 fire catapults in this city, and that gives us the flaming, exploding catapult rounds that are right here. I can hear them already shooting. We're going to take over here, out of my way, fellas, and we're going to destroy this siege tower. So moving this bad boy over, getting a nice line of sight. Now, it's not too hard to dial it in, right? Your first shot, okay, I'm a little short. You see how it fell at the feet of the siege tower. So I take that little thing on the red bar there and I increase that. Watch me increase it. And with the PC, I think it's your up arrows, just like walking forward or backwards. All right, so a direct shot, 3,700 damage to the object. Now look at the health bar. When I hold the Alt button, that thing's almost destroyed. One more shot here and it's sayonara for their siege tower. Okay, siege tower's gone. I like to throw a few of these out here and just try to... Oh, these guys are running all together. They're converging into a big traffic jam. Bam, we just killed like 50 guys, right? You just throw it right into their midst. The skill for throwing these further has a lot to do with your throwing skill. And of course, you can do major damage with these bombs at this stage of the battle. There's this big pile of them here, right? So I can throw several of these. Once you have your range down, you just want to throw them as fast as you can, because in the early stages of siege, you are on a timer. The enemy's bringing that ram up. They're going to have that ram on our door soon, and I want to do other things. I want to accomplish other things before they get into our walls, through the gate. All right, so here's one of the things I want to do. I don't need the 2nd and 7th Division over here anymore, right? These guys no longer have a reason to be there because the siege tower is destroyed. That means we can concentrate our defenses in a smaller area. I'm going to put the 2nd Javelin, 2nd Division is Javelin throwers, skirmishers right here. Sometimes the line of sight's a little difficult. I got to get down to ground level evidently to do it. So I'm going to spread them in a big line here and then put them in a shield wall. That way they're nice and tightly packed in there and all of them can throw their javelins. The enemy's bombarding us with siege. By the way, the archers would be fine here, but I think there are better locations. We know the siege tower is destroyed over there, but the enemy is going to be coming up over here on the ladder. So what I can do is I can sort of assess the situation over here and drag this archer division and say, you know what, let's put them right between the two, kind of halfway on the stairs here where they'll have line of sight, right? They can help these guys here, and of course they'll be shooting the guys coming up the siege ladders. Now, some cities are really well prepared for siege, and this is an unusual thing. Look at these fireballs. These are here for no reason. I don't even know if you need to have siege skill for them to be here. There are just some cities that have an excellent amount of these fireballs just literally laying around. And this is a total gem, right? This is a total gift. We're able to kill an additional 20, 30, 40 guys here for no reason. There's not even a catapult here. So these will literally be here the whole battle. Nobody but you will use these as long as there's no siege tower here. In fact, I'm going to take these down and throw these either into the gate or onto the ladder fucks. Actually, I hear a lot of chaos already happening at the gate here. Our squares holding up. Look at these guys. These guys, like I said, they're positioned to mow down the enemy. I'm just going to throw this into the backs of these troops here and try not to hurt our guys. All right, I killed one guy. That's fine. Now we're going to join these guys briefly, and I'm basically going to give you a tour of what's happening. These guys are attacking our square, and they're being raked from behind, right? You can hear the arrows hitting them. You can see them. They're being shot as they try to beat on our square. They're getting absolutely crushed by our 4th Division. Just why I can just whirl my fucking hammer through here. Now these javelin throwers, I tell them to shoot or fire at will and watch the javelin fire on these poor enemy fucks. They're trying to approach the square and you can see him just getting absolutely smoked. This guy's literally just standing here. He gets killed. And these poor bastards that are coming in, right? That square is set up and now these guys are just unloading their javelins while our square basically tries to survive. Squares are probably the best defensive position you can use. You can see those archers are helping too. But your squares in siege defense and just battle in general is one of your best formations for infantry. Positioning is important. You see how the enemy's kind of coming in a little bit heavy here. You can just move the square a little closer, and as long as those are decent level troops, we got some enemy forces shoving down the ladder stairs. That's fine. They're all magnetized to the square. You can just move that square a little closer and it'll sort of decrease the amount of enemies that can pour through the front gate. Now I'm sending in the 4th to charge here because the enemy's kind of, I don't want to say overwhelming us, but sort of breaking through some of the defenses. Over here they're attacking, but we have the 3rd Division over here. I don't know if you remembered I put them there. That's some of our best infantry. Let's send those boys into battle, right, and watch them absolutely rip the enemy up. They were standing there obediently until I gave them the order to kill. We can add our archery to the mess here, right? We can just look at the guys getting shot and falling down the stairs. Now our 3rd Division has that stairway completely blocked up, but let's do a square over here too. Let's form a square so all these archers can eat. We're going to prevent the enemy from even getting to our archers, and I'm actually going to shove the square so it's like halfway up the stairs. And what that does is it stops the enemy from even getting to the ground level, and that means that they're in line of sight for our archers the whole time. Right, they're coming down those stairs. You can see them getting all bottled up. And just like me, our archers are just completely shooting them to pieces. You see every guy is getting hit by 3 arrows and killed. The death spam is solid green. And now that side is completely, I know it's taken care of, right? There's Battanian Fiends here. That side is totally taken care of. Let's go look at the gate. Now I'm going to reset this 4th Division, right? They no longer need to be on charge. If you tell a division to charge, you want to make a little mental note. Okay, I had that division charge. Right, and that's because you want to be able to come back to it later on and be like, oh shit, they charged all the way to fucking Khazate territory and got killed. So the gate's getting kind of ugly here, right? They're sort of sneaking around the edges. So what do we have? Let's charge with the second. Let's charge with the fourth. And let's do the emergency charge. I don't want you guys just shooting and charging. Every guy charge, right? So what I do is I tell that division to charge and hold fire. And they join me as we now absolutely throttle anything that's sneaking through our square. These guys are doing good work over there. And these guys now are cleaning up the mess. Now your square will break down. Eventually that square, I can't remember how many troops, 40 or something like that in the initial, that we initially had there. You'll lose those units, the slow attrition. Look at these guys. I can see these guys head right over the top of our units. While these guys work here, I can just snipe some of the taller units. In fact, the Prussians were famous for searching for tall infantry, right, for their grenadiers. This is a situation you don't want to have tall troops. They're getting shot right in the face. All right, so these guys have closed the gate and pretty much mitigated the problem here, right? We're a non-drunk firefighter. We're going to back the 2nd Division off. We're going to move the 4th Division off and basically reset these divisions and see what it looks like. I can see over there that the 3rd Division completely has things bottled up. I can help them a little bit here at range, smoke a few of these crossbowmen, but they don't really need help, right? You can just tell they've got this under control. As soon as the enemy gets archers on the walls, they get shot to pieces. They have no chance. In fact, let's do this. Let's zoom around the city a little bit here. I don't even need to help right now. We've got things pretty well under wraps, and you can see what happens. These guys come up the ladders, and there's already just a graveyard of them dying here on the ground. They take 2 shots or 1 shot, and they're smoked with arrows, right? In fact, a lot of them don't even get 1 arrow off. They get up here, and that guy got killed instantly. Look at this guy. He's like, I'm going to get a shot off over here. You're crazy. I'm crazy, man. Oh, I'm shot in the face. Oh, I can't get a shot. I'm shot in the head. Oh, shot in the neck. Oh, they get mowed down, and it's a massacre. All right, so I was mentioning this before, and I'm going to move back to my character in a second. Or maybe I'll just stay in this view. But this is the square starting to break down. You see how small it's gotten? So what do, right? We have other units that we can move into a square and add to the gate, right? I'm basically telling the 2nd Division, these skirmishers that are probably out of javelins, you guys now are also at the gate in that square. So now I have 2 infantry divisions that are in separate squares that are guarding the gate. This 4th Division is basically ready to kill. Oops, they're on. These guys aren't firing because I had them on hold fire, right? I had them charge on hold fire. Now I got to have them fire again because, of course, we want these guys shooting. Look at the enemy's backs, just totally exposed to their arrows, just shooting the poor enemy in the back. I can come up here and just club people to death with my low-level hammer. It's a low-level hammer, but it's really, really fast. I'm starting to fall in love with hammers. Not only is it fun, but you feel like a fucking total savage badass. You just windmill through here. Of course, these guys aren't looking at me. That always makes combat easier. And I just maul everything in sight. It makes a satisfying sound, right? Just pounding guys. It doesn't look like the strongest hammer, but it's very effective. Motherfuckers chasing me. These archers are still working, right? Those guys have been untouched the whole battle. Now I can add to it, right? I'm basically just showing you the different aspects of why this works. You can see the enemies trying to pound on our square, and I'm just shooting them full of holes. Now the square is starting to be surrounded here, right? So I'm going to continue to help. But we still have that 4th Division over there, right? I've got these guys over there. What can I do? I can add them to this combat, right? We can tell those guys, get over here. I'm going to help you guys, or I'm going to have you guys attack with me on these guys attacking our squares. Now the enemy's kind of coming towards them as well. We'll actually move the 4th into a square here as well. I've got a different a change of mind here. You see them knocking guys to the ground. So now there's 3 squares guarding the gate, right? And they're not attacking; they're just standing there, right? So what do I need? I need an attacking division. That 3rd Division is over there, and the stairs look clear. Let's call these 2-handed axe savage motherfuckers. Look at them. They just look like they're ready to kill people. Oh yeah. Let's bring these shock troops over here to this poor enemy that's getting shot already by archers, and let's send the dogs of war, right? You guys charge, but I don't want you using your arrows. Hold fire. Let's get up here and fucking maul everything in sight. That's right, boys. In we go. These guys join the fray, and this is going to be an incredible death span because these guys are strong shock troops, some of my best units, and they're attacking enemies that are distracted. This is going to close the gate completely. or I think it'll close the gate completely, and we're going to be good to go here. Look at this guy's trucked on the ground. The hammer does that too. It's the only weapon, at least on foot, that I know does that. It literally knocks the enemy to the deck. And obviously that's highly satisfying. They can then be beaten to death on the ground. Alright, so we'll resume our position here with our archers, just drinking our coffee. In fact, I need a little beverage here while I shoot. Siege is so easy, we can have a little beverage. Reinforcements just came in. Now, we don't need them. Of course, that also tells you that we've lost maybe 100 to 150 troops. You're not going to fight a flawless siege, right? We're fighting, what is it, almost 4,800? There's a huge amount of attackers. But you can see, at this stage, we're literally just, we're taking a nice deep Zen breath, right? We've got our fucking stress ball we're squeezing in one hand and taking a drink with the other hand. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm actually changing out these units here. I've got a nice strong infantry division, so I'm pulling our square. Actually, let's back the third up. These guys I told to charge. I'm actually going to back up these savage war dogs for another time. We'll put the skirmishers that came in reinforcements up to the line, tell them to fire. The third can just be pulled back into reserve. Those guys can have a drink. They can take a breather. And what I did there is I changed out the units that were squaring at the gate, but I did it seamlessly, right? I moved a unit into squares and then I pulled the other units out. And the reason it needs to be seamless is so the enemy doesn't pour through the gate in huge numbers while you're making that transition. Now, I actually learned this in the fire service when we transfer a hose line. You want to do it very quickly, of course, so the fire doesn't burn somebody or start to take off. Now, what I'm going to do next is really start to show you advanced siege. See this inner courtyard? I'm going to simulate the gate being blown open. I'm going to pull these units back. These are all archer units that I'm pulling back one at a time, spreading them out in a big arch. And then we're going to take one big archer division. It's the 5th division here, and we're going to stretch them from the top of the citadel to the bottom. The reason we're doing that is we want to be able to shoot down on the enemy with all these archers. Okay, so those units are going to start to move. Now I'm going to move all the other units except the 4th. The 4th is holding the gate, but it's going to be temporary. We're going to have them basically pull back and simulate that they all get run over. I'm going to help some of our guys pull back here, right? These guys are being pursued. I'll smash some of the insolent attackers, these fucking assholes here attacking our guys. Get off our troops as they retreat. You see the squares starting to break down. But our troops are getting into position. Now, what we're doing here, give me your shield, since you're dead. What we're doing here in this second part is we are going to, oh shit, this guy's shooting at me, motherfuckers, fucking assholes. We are simulating what happens if you get a huge breach and a blowout at the main gate. It can be very hard to recover a siege, but I'm going to show you how to win, or at least I think we'll win. So I'm pulling back that square, but look at what we have set up here. I've got 2 infantry divisions and 4 archer divisions, including one of them that's elevated. So we're now going to start putting units in square here, basically to make it so that the streets are narrower here, right? This is going to be Paris before they made all the changes. It's going to be nice, tight streets. So I'm trying to get that archer division, the 6th, so that they have good line of sight. The 5th have really good line of sight. And these other archer divisions, it's not terrific because they're going to attract attention, but they get enfilade fire. So now I'm pulling this other square back. This is the 4th. It's getting trucked, of course, because they're the only ones there holding the gate. They're getting killed. And then I have the 3rd division in a shield wall right at the base of the stairs to the city, right? The stairs to the inner donjon, right? The donjon is how it's actually spelled. And that's the inner, they're referring to that inner part of a citadel. Now these guys I want to actually pull a little closer, and that's because I want the enemy to be vulnerable to all our elevated archers. The 3rd Corps is here in reserve. These guys are basically back here. In fact, let's put them in a shield wall to prevent all traffic from getting to our donjon. And now watch this poor enemy just get skewered from elevated arrow shots, from flanking arrow shots. No shooting, motherfucker. I can get in here and pound them to death with my hammer. The 3rd Corps is here anytime I want to send those bad boys. The 6th is right there shooting. Those guys are doing good work. These guys are raking the enemy. In fact, let's show you what it looks like for these guys. They're loving it, right? Well, I can't see. You got the enemy down there just coming in, getting shot in the neck. These poor bastards, right? Now, anytime I want, I can charge with the 3rd, but we're going to leave them for a better moment. Over here, the enemy, and I was mentioning this, if you put archers over here, it will attract attention, so you got to be careful about that, right? These guys are definitely in trouble. I'll help them out here a little bit. In fact, the enemy has quite a Zerg over here. We still may lose this, right? This is a huge amount of enemy forces. I just blew those guys like all over the table. You see the enemy's really bottled up here, right? They're jammed up on that square. Now this square is starting to break down, right? It's starting to lose troops. That's why I have that 3rd division. So what do we do with them? Charge, right? These savage reserve units get sent in. This is exactly what these units are for, right? You save your elite units for a critical moment. They charge in. They charge in. They're trash talking. Come on, and they kill everything in sight. These divisions look good to go, and now we bring these guys back again. We'll reset the 3rd division back where it was. They've done their good work. I'll grab a few arrows here for the rest of this battle, and so far so good, right? Our little retreat here is working out. Now the enemy is starting to prioritize our archers, right? They're definitely starting to come around the corner. I'm the lone infantryman over here. Fortunately, it's quite an infantry division, right? This infantry division is definitely capable of fighting 10 guys, especially with archer support, right? We're just going to smash our way through the enemy forces here. It's just whirligig hammer time, and these guys get absolutely blunt trauma, smashed to pieces. Over here, things are getting messy, so we're going to charge again with that reserve unit, the 3rd division. Now, I will get reinforcements soon, and that's obviously going to change how this looks right now. It looks bad. That's because the enemy's got a big surge of troops, and we don't have reinforcements yet. But I'm not panicking. In fact, they just popped up like magic right behind me. So this is a square. We'll move this to block that main way the enemy was coming in. The archers look just fine here. There's like 10 Battanian Fiend champs in here salivating. They're hitting the enemy with flanking fire. The 3rd division is charging. And it's generally a slaughter pen, right? This enemy force here is starting to pressure us a little bit at the steps here, but not really. It looks worse than it actually is. I just ripped apart like 10 of them. I'm going to move this square a little closer here, pull it a little bit closer. We'll reset the 3rd. The other archers are positioned beautifully. There's even more guys in this 6th division. I think we'll put them on the stairs as well. That's completely blocked off now. The enemy can't get around him. In fact, this side is clear. It might even be time to start flanking this force that's attacking our square. These archers over here are definitely holding their own. What I can do here is I can flank that square with our 3rd division and these archers. I mean, just absolutely a fucking devastating machine with this hammer. It's so fast swinging that you just kill guys instantly. I'm going to fuck with this guy a little bit while we just let our archers work. I mean, that death spam is almost entirely from archers shooting down from the steps. There's like 80 guys there, casually killing the whole enemy army. That guy gets shot to death. We're just sort of casually destroying 5,000 forces here. All right, so let's play with them some more. Let's bring these guys over. I mean, we could leave it. You can see now we could just leave our current formation and this battle's over. But let's just apply the coup de grace here, right? Let's just smash them even worse. I'm going to pull the 3rd division over here. We're going to pinch these enemy forces. We're going to get archers spread out here as well. Now, this will generate a lot of attention. In fact, the enemy's they're still coming in this way. Get out of here. But that's okay, right? At this stage, anytime we want, we can pull back to our previous positions and just eviscerate the enemy. Let's try to crush their morale even more. All these guys are not looking. Let's bring our 3rd division in here. Come with me, boys. Let's pound the enemy into pieces here and finish off this siege. We wade in here, the 3rd division. These guys can't wait to attack. The enemy floods in. That's fine. Good. Bring more enemies. In fact, that's a fuck ton of enemies. It's fine. It's totally fine. Our archers are protected. Our square here, we can shove forward. That'll give them a little more room. We can drag our 3rd division right back to safety. These archers need to be spread out a little bit better. But you don't hear any panic in my voice, right? This is just a casual siege defense for me. In fact, that's it. The enemy is fleeing. You've won the battle. And the enemy realizes they are facing a superior AI, right? A superior opponent. Away they go. Off they go into the sunset here. Our city is defended. The enemy runs in terror from our fucking destructive siege defense machine. And victory is ours. Look at these guys just running as fast as they can away from our fucking death trap. Now, we may not have even have needed to get to that stage, right? You could see at one point I was probably just going to be able to hold the gate through the whole thing, but I wanted to show you guys this alternate defense, right? This pile of bodies that we've stacked up here next to our inner citadel. Maybe the only reason you don't want to do this is then there's a huge cleanup, right? Cleanup on the dungeon aisle where all the fucking enemy died en masse. There's just this huge cemetery full of enemy forces. And look at this. We lost 320 troops, and we killed 3,100. So there's your 10-to-1 KDR. The AI takes control of the wheel here, butchers it, and slams us into the wall. We take control, and we weep through traffic like we're fucking Dale Earnhardt on crack. Just a stunning victory to round out this episode, and you see the results here of great tactics. It just doesn't get a lot more clean than that. All right, so this last section here, this I think is going to be the most illustrative portion of this whole episode. And I know this is a marathon episode. I try to warn guys that I'm long-winded. What we're going to actually do here is we're going to use, apologies here, we'll reset the music. We're going to actually use the custom battle here to show you some of the vital parts of Siege. Again, show you what not to do. Now, the custom battle is one of the greatest ways to learn Epic Siege or Siege in general because you have every castle virtually available for you to practice on. Right now in this custom battle, I've given both sides all the requisite units. That way it's a fair fight. Now, one thing I've done is I've neglected to give, okay, we've given the attackers siege towers, but I've neglected to give the defenders any fire catapults that would destroy their siege towers. In other words, the enemy's siege towers are both going to arrive here as well as a gate. And as you can see, we're outnumbered 70% to 30%, right? We're seriously outnumbered. So with all that said, we're going to actually watch the AI this first battle. We'll show you a couple different city defenses here, and I'm going to speed these up using the RTS mode, right? All I do is click this little button. It says slow motion mode, but we're actually on 3x normal speed. I'm not going to waste your time in these episodes, but very briefly, we're going to kind of look again at this failed strategy. All these archers on the wall here, these are the ferocious Battanian archers, right? And these guys have absolutely no chance. Why? Because they're outnumbered 2.5 to 1. So the enemy brings up all their crossbowmen, and you're just going to lose this exchange, right? You can actually see that the archers are exposed here. They're being shot by crossbowmen, and it's not going to go well for these fellas. Again, this is what the AI will do if you put the AI in charge, and you can see these guys are just completely exposed. This is a failed strategy as long as the enemy has an equal or significantly greater number of archers. This is going to be bad for you. It's almost like a fight in the open field, which is obviously not how you want a siege to play out, right? You're supposed to have advantages as a siege defender, and here, even with the mighty Battanian Fiend champions, they're just no match for 30 or 40 crossbow bolts hitting these guys in the face. In fact, he's kind of hiding and he still gets smoked, right? A bolt or an arrow right to the eyes, and the next thing you know, all your ferocious Battanian Fiend champs are slumped up against the wall because you had a failed strategy. Now, the AI does a pretty decent job of stacking up infantry at primary threats on the walls, right? If the enemy's pouring in on siege towers, if you just leave it to the AI, they do a pretty decent job. But look at the room here on this citadel. There's no room to put archers on the outside of this citadel. There's no question that there are some citadels that are just garbage to defend, and I will cover that in a later episode, right? We're not going to make this a 6-hour episode. I will have an entire episode that covers essentially some of the key ingredients and best locations for you to defend in Siege. You won't be surprised, or maybe you will be surprised, but some cities are much easier to defend than others. This one in particular is not easy to defend, and you can see the AI here is getting trucked pretty bad. The enemy's pouring up the siege towers. The allied defensive forces here are too thinned out to really prevent the enemy. A lot of times what you'll see in Siege is they'll be able to bottle up one area, like they're kind of doing a decent job here, at least of bottling up that side, and the enemy will then rush in somewhere else, and as soon as you have a major breach in siege defense, it's all over. Here you can actually see the main gate is holding, but look what's happening on the left, right? As these guys are holding the main gate, the next thing you know, they're being stormed from the side as the enemies blow out that left side. That thins the front gate, guys are starting to rout, and the entire siege starts to break down. A breach is the main way to lose a city defense, and in this case, that's exactly what happened. The enemy is totally breached through, and this battle is over. All right, so let's get back to the custom battle menu here. We'll speed it up a little bit. Of course, it's all the same settings, and we are going to go from Maranath to Dunglanis. Now, this is also Botanian City. I'm not going to be able to cover every city, obviously, in this episode, but we're going to show you the differences just in strengths of cities. This is a better defendable city, and it doesn't look like it, right? It's got like these shallow, pitiful walls. You would not think this is effective, but it has more to do with the angles of your enemy compared to the angles of your archers, right? These archers actually have 2 tiers of archery defense here. You can see they have this upper defense area, and that gives them sort of an additional layer of cover because the enemy's shooting at the guys in that lower level. A lot of these guys on the upper level here can eat, right? They're firing away. The other thing is that this has sort of a circular build to it, and what I mean by that is it's kind of a concave side here. What that does is it gives you really good flanking fire on the enemy. And we'll see how effective that is as the siege towers come up here. Flanking fire basically means you're shooting the enemy from the side or even somewhat from the back, and obviously they can't block your arrows, right? You're literally shooting them in the back, shooting them in the side, and bad things happen to the enemy. Now, I'm going to watch this a little closer here. Look at this. 270 kills already, and they've only lost 60. Well, that's certainly a high enough KDR ratio to win this battle. Right, that's the kind of success ratio you need to win a siege, and so far so good. Now this is the same exact battle setting, same units as that last defense of Maranath where they got destroyed. Here, look at how badly they're raking the enemy. Look at all these guys trying to get on this siege tower. They're being scorched with flanking fire. This is precisely what you need as the defender to win, and indeed, even though it's virtually the same, well, it is the same units on the battlefield, the same setting, it's a different city and a different result, right? Here, where Maranath failed to defend, you leave the AI in charge of Maranath. Here in Dunglanis, you are successful, right? The enemy's fleeing, and by a significant margin. We actually have almost 200 troops alive. And what this shows is effectively there are some cities where it's fine to leave the AI in charge. They will do a decent job defending. Now let's try Carbantsith. I know I'm focusing on Botania here. It just so happens that I'm doing this. There's not a particular reason. All right, so we'll watch this happen now again. I'm going to make slight changes to this siege here, right? This is basically how the AI defends it. And then I'm going to show you a very slight change that I will make. Probably will defend this right side differently, and I'm hoping for different results. In other words, I'm showing you that with a little bit of micromanagement, you can be successful. Now, I love this part. Some cities have what I call sort of this interior ring defense where there's a whole nother line for archers to sit behind and shoot. I think that's very effective, and of course, as you probably know, that sort of mimics what I like to do with my archers, right? I like to have a lot more archers in the courtyard so that if you lose the walls, the battle's not over. In a lot of normal sieges, when the AI defends, as soon as you lose the walls, it's all over because the enemy sweeps through the walls, kills all your archers, kills all your melee men, ransacks everything, rapes your wife, and the whole thing is a horrific loss, right? In this case, the enemy, or the allied AI, I keep calling them the enemy AI, is really prioritizing this side over here. I think that's a failed strategy. They don't have any archer support. The main gate looks like it's going to be able to hold. They got a nice amount of infantry there. But that right side, I'm not so sure about. Let's see about the left side here. Actually, the left side looks like a maelstrom. They have really nice flanking fire from these archers. These guys are doing great work over here, firing down on the guys, firing at the guys coming up the ladder. Now we'll see how that right side is doing. I keep calling it right side or left side, basically over here. Okay, so they've had a breach. Those guys got destroyed because they had no archer support. The enemy pours into the courtyard here. There's pillage, fire, and slaughter as the enemy storms through. Of course, the guys at the gate, look at, they're halfway into the gate. They're like, oh shit, we got guys behind us. They're going to start routing, right? Troops hate being fucking bottled in like that, just like in real life. That would cause a massive morale crush. And you can already tell this siege is lost. The enemy's rampaging through. Now these guys over here, the enemy or the allied forces are like, oh shit, we got this shit under control. Fuck yeah, man. Grab some grog and some fucking salted pork. We win. Wait a minute. I hear loud noises. Oh shit, there's a huge force of angry Valandians coming in here. We are now cornered. This is fucked, and I don't believe the allied forces are going to be able to survive this, right? You can see they're now being surrounded. They're being shot in the front. and infantry on both sides of them here, and they're badly outnumbered. It's just a matter of time before this citadel is lost. This is actually perfect because I think I'm going to be able to make one small change, and we'll run this battle a second time and show you that just the tiniest bit of micromanagement on your part as the commander is enough to have success. Now, I want to mention that really quick. If you make major changes to the defenders, if you start taking control, or if you hit the sergeant, take command in the middle of your battle, you will experience unpleasant things. And as you can see, they've lost here. All right, so we'll fire this up again. Virtually the same settings. In fact, it is all the same settings, and we're going to make one small change in this battle, or really a couple of small changes, and show you the difference between letting the AI do everything and a little bit of micromanagement that can be successful. And wrapping up that point, if you let the AI take control at the beginning of the battle, then you take over, and then you let the AI take control, bad things will happen. And I'll explain that in a minute. First, so I'm going to divide this unit, the 4th and the 6th, and we'll make this 2 different infantry units, and we're actually going to completely pull back from that right side. The rest of it I'm going to leave the same. They're just going to pull a few of these archers into another division, right? So I'm making a new division here. This is the F3, F5 command. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this courtyard to position archers. So we're actually going to line up archers here kind of back in the courtyard. You see there's some other archers defending here, and it might take you a second to figure out what's the exact line of sight that you want to set these guys on. Generally, when you position archers like this, they will stand there the rest of the battle. They won't leave. They're highly obedient, and so you can position these guys exactly how you want. Now, I can position them in different angles. I can experiment with different lines. And this is the beauty of siege defense, right? Is that you're in charge. You decide exactly what ingredients go into your chili bowl. And then the rest of us will taste your chili and tell you whether or not it sucks. It tastes like dog shit. Or whether you win the chili cook-off. All right, now notice this square. I'm just putting it slightly to the side. And this other division that was left over from us splitting that 4th division, we'll put them to the other side of this door. And what I want to do here is effectively create a funnel. I don't actually want to stop the enemy coming through there. I want those archers to be able to shoot. So I'm going to create a small opening between these 2 squares, right? This is just F2, F5, the square command. And what I'm doing here is I'm creating a line of troops that are stabbing the enemy as they come into this citadel while our archers are still working. Now, some of their troops may get past them and start to attack our archers. That's fine. If they do, or if there's a big press, then we can charge with those squares. But a lot of their guys will just get funneled. They'll be distracted by the squares and attacking them. And I think we're going to have a lot better success. Now, again, to remind you, if you've forgotten already, this last battle where we let the AI take control, eventually that side that we're going to defend differently got blown open, and the rest of the citadel fell. Now, just like the first battle, they've got really nice angles here on the attackers, and they're doing really nice work. But just like that first battle, this side is where things went badly. I think it's going to go very differently. You can see they're coming up to our squares. These guys are sort of attacking them. They're a little distracted, and they're getting raked by all these archers, right? We have our archers, but the AI is also smart enough in some cities to put troops in these back defensive areas. Now, we just suffered a massive wave of death. I think that was a catapult or a fire catapult. Yeah, it did. It killed like half of their troops, actually all of their troops, and a bunch of our defenders there. So that might change the outcome of the battle, but I think we're okay. Now, notice the gate is starting to break down. So what can we do? We can actually borrow one of those squares and place it at the gate, right? We can reinforce it. I think this singular square here is still going to be able to hold out. You can see the enemy is getting raked with crossfire. We could put the square firmly against the wall there. Now our forces are shooting the enemy in the back. Main gate is kind of tenuous. It's a little bit challenging. But remember, those archers that we position can hit both of these guys. It can shoot the guys at the gate, and it can shoot the guys at the other side there. Now, it looks like that square finally broke down, so they're kind of attacking our archers here. But there's enough archers that they're certainly capable of fending off of 20 attackers. And what's the result? A victory, right? A battle where we lost with the AI in charge. We make a few small changes here, and we are victorious. All right, now just because this episode hasn't been quite long enough, we're going to add in a section here towards the end about ambushes. Ambushes are a certain stage of a keep defense, and I want to show you another situation here where you can solve a problem in a keep defense, and that is food. Now you can see this Sturgian force here is besieging us. We're joining the defense. Notice the ambush button is grayed out. Now look at our food. Days until no food, 2. This army we're in is starving. Now there's 3 different forms of food in relation to armies in this battle. There's the enemy's food, they have lots of food. There's the garrison's food, and there's your own food. Now for whatever reason, you cannot share food with the garrison and vice versa. In fact, if you notice, the garrison has 368 food stocks there, and the next day it's estimated to lose 26. Meanwhile, it says days until no food, 2. We're starving, and these garrison motherfuckers, I guess they're too greedy to share with us. Now look at the ambush thing is grayed out, but here's what we can do for food. We can simply escape the fortress. We say we want to leave the fortress. Evidently the enemy looks the other way. We stroll right the fuck out. You know, half the defense force rolls right through their siege camp, and we head to the local town. We go to foreign, we say we'd like to buy your products for a local siege, and they're like, oh yeah, we're aware of that siege. In fact, we saw you guys stroll right through their siege camp a few minutes ago. Yeah, sell us your food. Thanks for the food. Now we're going to stroll right back through. In fact, they make way for us here at the siege camp, and they allow us to break back into the same siege that we just broke out. Now we're back inside. We've got 2 or 3 more days of food, and we're ready to defend. All right, now that silliness and farce aside, that is part of the game mechanics. We still can't ambush, and I'll explain that in a second, but that's how to get food. Now notice the ambush button here just lit up. It was grayed out before, and now we can actually ambush. That's because the enemy has siege. You cannot ambush an enemy until they have siege weapons. Now, if you join a siege late, you cannot ambush until you've been there for 24 hours. It basically says the enemy's in a vigilant state and you cannot ambush their siege. If you've ever wondered why that says that, the enemy's aware and you cannot ambush, that's what's going on. All right, so we're going to engage in the actual ambush here, and we're going to show you kind of how messy and, unfortunately, how easy this is if you have a relative decent level of skill. So we're charging the enemy, and here's a problem I've noticed before. In fact, it's happening really bad at this castle. This castle has a very small gate. I think that's because the walls at this castle are very low level. And so look what's happening here. My ambushing forces are getting bottled up at the gate worse than the fucking New Jersey Turnpike. Nobody can fucking move. They're all furious. And obviously the ambush is at a standstill. Now these are timed events because the enemy is getting reinforcements ready as the ambush is occurring. In other words, it's sort of simulating that you caught the enemy off guard, and you have this 2, 3, 4 minutes before the enemy gets more troops. All right, so we say charge. Our units go in here, and basically the enemy has a small defense force. Basically, these are the guys that were on watch or whatever when you had this ambush. And then you barrel in here and you smoke their defenders, but more importantly, you destroy their siege weapons. Now, why would you want to do this? I would say the main reason you want to ambush is because then the enemy, if the enemy's having either food problems or some other difficulty, they will now take longer to besiege you. Maybe, for example, you have another castle that's more urgent that you need to go to. You could actually do this to delay their assault here and then actually leave the city and go somewhere else. I know it doesn't make very much sense. There are other reasons to ambush as well. You can ambush and then sometimes the enemy will attack where they have less siege. Ultimately, you ambush the enemy here, you slay a bunch of their troops, and you destroy their siege weapons. Now you gotta pound on it, right? I'm just repeatedly pounding on this fucking thing. Your troops will help you. Look at, they can't even spell I think it spells reinforcements. I don't even think it spelled it right. So more troops come in for the enemy here, but that's just pigs to the slaughter. This is part of our Kazate campaign, so we just happen to have a whole bunch of horsemen. Obviously, if you don't have cavalry, this can be a little harder. But if you have good tactics, it really isn't that hard. In fact, I think what we'll try to do here is try to have the enemy build more siege weapons after this surprise attack. And then 24 hours later, evidently, they fall asleep again, motherfucker. And we will charge back out here and destroy their siege weapons on foot. Now, they're kind of spearing me and shit like that. And obviously, if you're a lower level character, this is going to be harder. But if you have decent armor and you have decent troops, this should be a slaughterhouse. Unfortunately, the enemy reinforcements kind of coming slowly. You're given, in my opinion, way too much time to destroy their siege. It's way too effective. And even when they get reinforcements, it's kind of a pathetic effort by the enemy. It says you have destroyed all enemy siege engines. It's time to retreat to the castle. You don't even have to actually retreat to the castle at this stage. You can literally just hit the tab button, X out, and you are successful, right? Like, I'll bring our troops in here, but they don't even have to all get back inside. Again, reinforcements arrive, right? We've got some spelling errors. The enemy is organizing. No, okay, that's spelled correctly. Consider a tactical retreat soon. Well, we already destroyed all their siege weapons, so we're able to easily retreat. No point in shooting at the enemy here. We can just hit the retreat button. We had 2 losses and killed 57 of their troops. All right, so here's what we'll do. We'll wait again for these dipshits to build more siege equipment. We'll give them some more sleeping pills. They'll go right back to sleep, and then we'll be able to ambush them again. Now, again, notice my food. 15 food. In fact, I'm probably going to make another episode here to show you how to make a sally out attempt in a siege. You can effectively sally out against an enemy and have some pretty good results if you have some good tactics, if you know what you're doing. All right, so we're ambushing them here, right? Same exact thing. This time I'm going to tell all these horse archers, dismount. I've got fucking weak-ass companions wearing fucking clothes from the Salvation Army charging. But look at our forces. Look at the power bar. We're hugely favored to win this battle, and that's probably assuming dipshit tactics. So we're going to absolutely smoke their archers for some reason or other. These guys are just running up till their point blank range, and we can just smoke them in the back as they retreat now, haplessly fucking trying to get some range on us. And these lords are, well, they're not lords. They're fucking pawn scum. They have no idea what they're doing. The Sturgians rally in kind of a big defensive arch. Now, it may just be that the Sturgians in this battle don't have a lot of high-ranked archers, or it may be that consistently in ambushes it gives them infantry instead. They really should get more archers, and they should get more troops. But evidently, this is easy mode. And again, I'm on Bannerlord difficulty. This is not like the easiest game mode, but it's presenting absolutely no threat to us. The enemy here is peeling back. They're terrified. We're shooting their lords in the back. And now we're basically free at our leisure here to destroy this second set of siege, right? They've got, I think I let them build a ram and a siege tower again. This time they'll have reinforcements, more reinforcements, because we'll fight them for a little while. But as you can see, there's no challenge here, right? We're uphill. We've got all kinds of archers spread out. The enemy's got almost no archers, and they're just down here shitting themselves because they're being blitzed with archers at flanking angles and stuff like that. And of course, good tactics will benefit here, right? What we're doing right now is simply kiting. We're moving units spread around the enemy in a crane formation so that as they pursue, suddenly they're surrounded, they get themselves surrounded. So while my troops are doing that, I can just sort of beat on their siege here. The enemy is almost incapable of doing anything. We got some more enemy reinforcements have arrived. We can move our archers to their flank. And again, infantry's in square. These guys are rushing up here for no reason. That siege over there is destroyed there, fellas. There's no point in defending it. You might want to go to the siege weapons that are actually standing. Never mind. We're just going to go over there and destroy them. You guys ran right into the middle of our archers. In fact, I'm going to take this guy's shield. Oh, wait, then I won't have any arrows. Never mind. We're going to destroy his siege tower and be on our way. As you can see, this should be a very easy operation for you, especially if you have some decent level troops. Cavalry is even better. Of course, you can rush down here faster with cavalry. You bash down their siege towers, and that concludes the ambush. If this episode wasn't already one of the longest episodes I've already made, we would include a massive siege sally where this Sturgian force, we basically decided to sally out against them, right? They got 1,400 troops and we challenge them with 400 or whatever we had. But I think I'll save that for another episode. All right, friends. Haha. Enemy is fleeing. You've won the battle. In this case, it's strange. Like the enemy... I know their whole army isn't captured, but in this case, we've just totally destroyed their attempt to guard the siege weapons. And as you can see, it takes us back to this menu. Oh, here we go. There's more Sturgians coming, even better. So that'll be a perfect Sturgian army, almost 5-to-1 outnumbered, for a future episode where we show you how to sally out and destroy an enemy force. That'll be interesting to see. In fact, they're attacking here. I'll simply reload this save game. All right, friends. So hopefully you've enjoyed that portion of the sally out. And I beg your pardon. Hopefully you enjoyed that portion on the ambush. All right, fellas. Well, hopefully this was highly beneficial to you guys. I know I didn't cover every single aspect there, like chucking rocks down on the enemy in the gatehouse. If you guys check out episode 1, I do cover more of those details. Things like running, the siege catapults, enemies or allied siege catapults, and chucking rocks down in on the inner dungeon. I cover things a little bit differently in each episode. That way, it's not mega redundant. And hopefully you guys have learned a ton from these episodes. We have Epic Siege Saturday here on Tactical Enlightenment. I have basically a new Epic Siege once a week where you can enjoy something similar to that with huge sprawling battles full of chaos and carnage and troops slamming into each other and all the chaos you just saw with tactics, of course, right, with intelligent troop movement. And you can, of course, if you subscribe, you'll get notifications, right, that it's Epic Siege Saturday. So with all that said, fellas, I appreciate you guys. Again, please subscribe if you want to see more from our channel. Check out our many playlists. Leave questions or comments if you have any. You can even leave constructive criticism. I don't mind that kind of stuff at all. Thanks again for watching, fellas. Please hit that like button. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time.